Here's something you might not know. In The Wind Waker, Beedle's shop ship, which of course can be found circling the islands of the Great Sea, is equipped with a horn, like ones found on gramophones. But we never hear it play in-game. Well, this wasn't always the case. In a demo build of The Wind Waker, built just over a week before the game's final build, we discover that Beedle's shop ship originally blared out a horn sound when Link was nearby. It makes sense why this was cut from the final release, but it's still cool to see. In Twilight Princess, we find what might be a reference to Beedle in Ordon Village, in Mallow's house. On the top bunk, in what is presumably Mallow's bed, are dolls, which bear an uncanny resemblance to the character from whom Mallow inherited his entrepreneurial spirit, Beedle. There's an interesting Easter egg with Mallow that can be seen during the game's opening hours, when Link practices with the slingshot with the children of Ordon Village. If, for whatever reason, Link decides to sling a pumpkin seed at one of the kids, most of them will duck for cover, except Mallow, who pulls off a Matrix dodge. Of course, Mallow is most well known for the Mallow Mart, in particular its Castletown branch, where Mallow takes over the offensively expensive fancy goods emporium, lowers the prices, and covers up all of the valuable artwork there with pictures of himself. Well, the artwork in the original shop is actually really fascinating. In the HD version of the game, screenshots from the reveal trailer for Breath of the Wild can be seen in frames throughout the shop. Perhaps even more interestingly, in the original version, they are photos of real-life landmarks. Leeds Castle in Kent in England, and the Château de Vaux-le-Vicomte in France. In fact, this entire shop is packed with real-world artwork, such as sculptures like Alexius of Rome and Saint Antonino. This second sculpture was changed in the remake to depict Rauru, curiously holding the Master Sword. Other interesting artwork can be seen in the Snow Peak Ruins, the game's 5th dungeon, where Link will encounter numerous paintings of characters, like the Zora Queen Rutella, and places across Hyrule, like the City in the Sky. And in the foyer, there's this, a painting which appears to show a mustachioed man. The game's HD version makes this far clearer, making it very likely that this depicts Rauru, the Sage of Light from Ocarina of Time. Tears of the Kingdom introduced another Rauru, Hyrule's first king, a member of the Zonai tribe, who possesses the powerful ability to control a light which repels evil, giving him the title King of Light. Although he's an entirely separate character, King Rauru's design references his namesake. The medallion he wears resembles the Sage of Light, and if viewed upside down, resembles Kepora Gabora, the reincarnation of Rauru's spirit. After Link wakes from his 100-year slumber in the Shrine of Resurrection at the beginning of Breath of the Wild, Link is guided by another spirit of an ancient king of Hyrule, King Rome Bosphoramos Hyrule, in his spirit form as the ghostly Old Man. The Old Man uses a walking stick, which hides two secrets. First, its lantern is extremely similar to the lanterns often carried by Pose, lingering spirits of the dead, subtly hinting at his true identity. And second, Breath of the Wild's lore book, Creating a Champion, contains concept artwork which reveals that the Old Man's walking stick is made from the branch of a cherry blossom tree. During Breath of the Wild, there are only 2 cherry blossom trees found in Hyrule, atop Satori Mountain and in the Korok Forest, the great Deku tree itself, meaning this stick is far more special than it seems. It's relatively well known that the Shikah glyphs seen throughout Breath of the Wild can be translated into English. Most translate to pretty mundane things, like platform or socket, but others translate into Zelda-specific Easter eggs, like the text seen in the map pins translating to "It's dangerous to go alone," or the Shikah rune and map distillation crystal translating to "Master using it and you can have this," both references to Zelda 1. However, what's slightly less well known is that during the game's E3 demo, these distillation crystals instead featured text translating to "Now loading," "Do not turn off," and "All your base," the first part of "All your base are belong to us," a popular meme stemming from a bad translation of the Mega Drive game Zero Wing. Another curious example of cut content in Breath of the Wild is this image, found in the folder which contains the Shikah slate images that prompt Link's memories. It's taken near the Shrine of Resurrection, and shows Link wearing the Hero of the Wild outfit with Zelda behind him, both in really strange poses. Link performing some sort of hand seal, with Zelda encouraging him? It's very strange, and obviously isn't used in the final game. Before we continue, here's a word from this video's sponsor. I've talked about Raycon earbuds before, so you know the deal. They're affordable headphones that still provide top audio quality. But these ones, they're something different. These are bone conduction headphones, so they work by sending vibrations through your skull, which is just so cool. It's kind of something you need to experience for yourself. It sounds just like you've got earbuds in, but your ears are completely open to the world around you. I've found that when I've been wearing these around the house or when I'm outside, I kind of forget I have headphones on, and that the Zelda music playing through them isn't diegetic to the world around me. They've got 13 hours of battery life, and of course they're IP68 waterproof and dustproof, so you can wear them outside in weather like this with no worries. A huge thank you to Raycon for sponsoring this video. If you'd like to grab yourself a pair of affordable and awesome headphones while supporting the channel, head to buyraycon.com/ZelticYTBC to get 20% off site-wide. That's buyraycon.com/ZelticYTBC. Let's get back to the video. Here's something weird. In the Wind Waker, there's a mysterious sign found on Shark Island. It reads, "You must activate all 4 switches on this island, and you must activate them all swiftly. Danger will visit all who fail to heed my warning. The seer, S.W. Potchit." Who's the seer, S.W. Potchit? There's another mysterious sign on Windfall Island, which has a lighthouse which is broken at the start of the game, and once Link obtains the fire arrows, he can activate it again. Curiously, this solution is hinted at by a sign reading, "Wielder of the Flaming Arrow. When you appear, the lighthouse signal shall return to light the seas at night." The seer, J.L. Pikal. Obviously, these 2 signs serve only to help the player solve puzzles nearby. This isn't exactly uncommon in the series. What is uncommon is having these hints written and signed by mysterious, unseen seers, characters who can't be found in the game and are never mentioned again. I went down the rabbit hole trying to learn anything else about these characters and why these names were chosen. Are they inside jokes, anagrams, references to something else? The best guess for S.W. Potchit's identity is that it's a joke. The puzzle on Shark Island, as the sign suggests, involves hitting switches. In the original Japanese, this seer is known as S.W. Potchito, referencing a commonly used Japanese onomatopoeia for clicking or pressing buttons. J.L. Pikal is less clear. Their Japanese name, J.L. Pikaru, could be derived from Hikaru, meaning shine, fitting for the lighthouse puzzle. But Pikaru, when combined with JL, could also be a nod to Jean-Luc Picard, captain of the Enterprise in Star Trek The Next Generation. In fact, this is the seers' name in French. Whether their names were simply added to these signs as little jokes or not, the seers, Pikal and Pochit, are technically Zelda characters, albeit unseen, very obscure ones. There are other characters mentioned in The Wind Waker that go unseen, but we actually know who they are. In the original Japanese version, Ganondorf's twin swords are engraved with Hylian text, which translates to Kotake and Koume, an homage to his surrogate mothers from Ocarina of Time. However, these engravings have changed a lot in different releases. In the English localizations of the original game, the engravings translate to honmono, a Japanese word meaning the real thing or genuine. In The Wind Waker HD, both the Japanese and the English versions again read Kotake Koume, though certain characters have been mirrored. It seems likely that this is because the original version, seen in the Japanese GameCube version, somewhat resembles the F word, explaining why it was removed and why it was altered for the remaster. Either way, this slightly altered version returned in Tears of the Kingdom, where the Gloom melee weapons, spear, sword and club, are all marked with the same text and small Gerudo emblem as the Wind Waker HD. Considering that Koume and Kotake actually appear in Tears of the Kingdom's memories and in Age of Imprisonment, distinguished from other Gerudo by the sashes embroidered with their names in Ocarina of Time era Hylian text, this is a really neat callback. Interestingly, the Ganondorf trophy in Super Smash Bros. Brawl wields swords that feature yet another engraving, translating to Zabora Gabora. This is the very same text which can be seen on Phantom Ganon's sword in The Wind Waker, a reference to the blacksmiths found in the mountain village in Majora's Mask, Zabora and Gabora. Speaking of these two, Zabora repeatedly calls Gabora a Deku stick to insult his intelligence. While effective, this insult has been somewhat lost in translation. In the original dialogue, it's a bit of a pun, which refers to not only a Deku stick, but to a common Japanese insult, essentially translating to wooden doll, meaning stupid. Deku sticks themselves are quite interesting. They first appeared in Ocarina of Time, where they can be obtained mainly from killing Deku Babas, but are also found in chests and can be bought from the Kikiri shop. Here, the shopkeeper refers to them as long branches gathered from the Deku tree. In the Minish Cap, Mayor Hagen runs Hyrule Town. He's quite lazy and prefers his hobby of making masks over his job as mayor. Curiously, Link can punish him for his laziness by shooting him with the bow, resulting in the arrow sticking into him. This doesn't work with any other character. The arrows will just pass through, but for whatever reason, the mayor can be used as target practice. Another strange interaction is in Link's room, where he wakes up at the beginning of the game. If he returns here after teaming up with Eslo and walks to this spot, just next to this table, he'll comment that there's something unusual here and asks if there's something hidden. There's no explanation for this, it's just a weird comment and can only happen once. If he returns here, Eslo never says it again. Maybe Link really had hidden something here. Here's something you might not have noticed, but will seem obvious once you do. This song is obviously the Kakariko village theme from Ocarina of Time. But then there's this. There are actually two versions of this theme in Ocarina of Time, one for Child Link and one for adult. Considering how much the village changes during the 7-year time jump by taking in refugees from the ruined castle town, it's fitting that it gets a slightly different theme. The 5-star isles found in the most southeastern quadrant of the Wind Waker's Great Sea are, as its name suggests, a group of 5 rocky outcrops rising out of the ocean. These rocks actually form a recognisable shape. They're based on the Cassiopeia star constellation, and this is reflected in the island's name in other localizations, known as the Cassiopeia Archipelago. The same thing is true for the 7 star isles, based on Ursa Major, and the Star Belt Archipelago, based on Orion's Belt. This isn't the only time real-world astronomy is relevant to the Wind Waker. At night, the Great Sea is lit by a sky of stars above, which is actually filled with many of the same constellations, such as Orion's Belt, seen here. In fact, Link can even learn about constellations from Camo if he uses his telescope on Windfall Island, revealing that some of them have their own names in the Zelda universe, such as the 3 sister stars. Another character on Windfall, Candy, references the constellations, telling Link to look up at night, and that he'll be able to see the Big Dipper. Somewhat interestingly, though Candy looks like this, he's apparently only 17 years old.
What? I could go, I'm 17.
You're 17? You're 17?
Yeah, I just look older.
There's looking older and then there's that. You look about 30.
Real-world star constellations are also seen in Twilight Princess, Skyward Sword, and Majora's Mask, though they work slightly differently here. In the original N64 version of the game, the positions of stars are actually determined based on the name the player chooses for Link. One of the stranger bosses in the original Legend of Zelda game is Digdogger, a spiky disc thing with a single eye in its center. It's immune to all damage, unless Link plays the recorder near it, which will cause it to shrink and become vulnerable. It's a pretty well-known secret by now that you can also weaken Digdogger by shouting into a microphone, such as on the Famicom's second controller, which will have the same effect as the recorder item. What's slightly less well known is why this is. In the Japanese manual for the game, Digdogger is described as an Unira, which are enemies in the earlier NES game Clu Clu Land, which will become stunned if the player uses sound attacks on it. So Digdogger and its weakness is probably just one big reference to this game. The Wind Waker is notable for featuring Link's family, his grandma and little sister, Aryll. According to A.G. Aonuma, Aryll was originally going to be called Rauru, similar to Marin from Link's Awakening. And with this in mind, there are some strong similarities between Aryll and Marin. The red flower on her dress matches the flower worn in Marin's hair, and Aryll's connection with seagulls, such as how they're marked on her telescope and how they indicate where she's held in the Forsaken Fortress, matches how, in the true ending of Link's Awakening, Marin becomes a seagull. Pawprint Isle is a small, uninhabited island between Dragon Roost and Windfall, a tiny archipelago shaped like an animal's paw. One of the smaller islands hides a secret cave, where Link can earn a silver rupee by slaying waves of Wizrobes. But this isn't what makes Pawprint Isle interesting. On the largest island, Link encounters a large egg-like structure, its shell cracked, revealing a bright blue interior. This egg is flanked by 2 stone statues of choo-choos, and a rare blue choo-choo appears near one of them. Inside the egg, Link can enter a secret cave, where things get stranger. Below Pawprint Isle is a network of caverns, the ceilings of which are covered in strange sack-like formations. These structures hang from the ceiling in every part of this cavern, but don't appear anywhere else in the game. Interestingly, the caverns are teeming with choo-choos, many of which drop from the ceiling above, almost as if they're falling from these strange sacks. According to his description, Doc Bandam, the potion seller from Windfall Island, often travels here to Pawprint Isle to gather chew jelly, used in the creation of his brews. Which makes sense, considering the island's huge choo-choo population. The large egg, Choo-Choo statues and the sack-like protrusions in the caves could imply that this island is where Choo-Choos come from, that they're birthed from the sacks hanging from the ceiling in the egg's cavern. In The Wind Waker, Choo-Choos make this jabbering noise. Well, this sound is actually a recording of an argument between two men speaking Japanese, sped up and played in reverse. You can hear insults like, "At least I'm not balding," and "Looking like you are, people will think you're a monster." Another character with voice lines is Twilight Princess's Midna, who sounds like this. And just like with the Choo-Choos, we can decipher it. She's actually speaking English, but broken up and scrambled. And if you take her voice clips and rearrange them, you can reconstruct her original lines.
Have you made up your mind? I'll take you there with my power. I'll be watching. I guess you aren't stupid.
Thanks for watching this video. If you liked it, leave a like, and subscribe if you haven't already for more Zelda content. I'm now making old school RuneScape content, both Easter eggs, secrets and trivia videos like this one, but also more in-depth lore content too. If you're interested, check that out with a link in the description at the channel Wizard's Mind Bomb. A huge thank you again to Raycon for sponsoring this video. If you'd like to grab yourself some awesome headphones and support the channel while doing so, head to buyraycon.com/ZelticYTBC. Cheers guys, and I'll see you next time.